This is my friend Chris Hamilton. He is the president and CEO of the West Virginia Coal Association. Mr. Hamilton is a native of Wheeling, West Virginia. He has over 40 years of experience in and around the mining industry. He served as deputy director for the West Virginia Department of Mines as a training specialist for MSHA and founded the Mine Training Services, a mine safety and training consulting firm. He has spent the past 30-plus years with the West Virginia Coal Association in a variety of capacities. Mr. Hamilton has mine foreman certifications in West Virginia and Ohio and is a graduate of West Virginia University with an undergraduate and master's degree in business and political science. He also serves with me on the Washington Coal Club. Next to Chris is Travis Deti. We've actually not had the pleasure of meeting, but your reputation precedes. Because my dear friend is Diantha Skavinsky of the Alaska Miners Association. Yeah. Mondio. Travis Deti joined the Wyoming Mining Association in 2011. He has been the executive director since 2016. Travis serves as a unified voice for the Wyoming mining industry, advocating its interests with elected officials, state and federal regulators, and the public. Previously, Travis worked as a legislative assistant and field representative. There was an S on there, sorry. Field representative to U.S. Senators Craig Thomas and John Barrasso in both Washington, D.C. and Cheyenne. Travis is a former sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. Thank you, sir. Rough. And veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom. He is a 2016 graduate of Leadership Wyoming program. A Wyoming native, Travis holds a degree in political science from the University of Wyoming. He and his wife, Kim, live in Cheyenne, and they have 2 sons. Next to Travis is my good friend, Brian Summers. Brian is the president of the Utah Mining Association. This trade association has been the voice of the Utah mining industry since 1915, although Brian has not been there that long. UMA advocates for and advances the mineral resource and related industries in Utah on the local, state, and federal levels. Brian joined the Utah Mining Association as its president in 2019. Prior to UMA, Brian led the Utah Science, Technology, and Research Initiative as its managing director. He previously served as deputy director of the Utah Department of Heritage and Arts on the communications staff of former Utah Governor Gary Hebert, and in various strategic communications and management roles in the private sector. Next to him is Mr. Robin Campbell, who is just an all-around nice guy. He said that's all I really needed to say about him, but I'll give just a little bit more information. He is joining us. He's the president of the Coal Association of Canada. So it's really nice to have you down. Thank you for coming. He's a 4th-generation coal miner who has spent over 30 years in the industry. He understands the issues facing coal from the inside out. As former treasurer and president of the United Mine Workers of America, Robin has local perspective and understanding of the challenges miners and their families are facing. He also served as a representative of the International Union of the UMWA and gained global perspective of the industry. Like most Albertans, Robin has a strong passion for the outdoors, and he takes pride in the environmental record of Alberta's coal mining industry. He has been a registered fishing guide in the Jasper and Hinton area for over 30 years and places tremendous value on the protection of our natural landscapes, rivers, and lakes. And he said that he will be up in Alaska soon for a fishing trip. So we welcome you to Alaska. With that, will you please help me welcome our panel? A series of discussion topics, but you don't know what you're going to get with this crew, okay? So I'll do my best to serve as the guide, but we'll see where these guys take it. I want to first talk about legacy and identity. So let's talk about what coal means to your region, not just economically, but culturally and personally. And if you have any stories or examples of coal communities in your region that have helped shape your journey to where you are now, we would appreciate hearing those things. This is the microphone that you gentlemen need to share. We are also recording this session, and we'll use parts of it for our podcast. So that's what the mic is, taped to the bottom. So don't put your hand over that. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Just like that continuous miner I used to operate, you had to turn the doggone thing on. Well, thanks, Lorali, and thank you for your participation here today. I want to compliment Emily first and foremost for putting together this great conference, her and her team. I've had the opportunity to work with Emily a little closer over the past year, 18 months, and boy, the industry doesn't have a better advocate. Super professional, super delivering the messages, pro coal mining, pro business, pro mining. She does it all. The risk of being just a little bit redundant from some of the other speakers today, man, we've been unpacking, reassessing, revising, repealing all the rules, all the policies, all the legislation passed by the former administration. We've been working with very close with White House officials, our congressional representatives, our state representatives, industry leaders, our national business and industry partners, been working close with all the state associations, with all the Mike Nassies. And boy, what a brilliant leader in the energy legal space Mike Nassie is. But there's a dozen other Mike Nassies that we've been working with. And I mean, it's just been an absolute fast and furious pace, like we've never experienced. And for you younger people here with us, don't think this happens every 4 years, what we're witnessing with President Trump today, or every 8 years, or whenever a Republican president takes the reins. I've been around a long time. I'm not sure there's others been here a little longer than me, but 40 plus years in the business, I have never, ever, ever seen a president or have heard a president take such swift action, very, very bold action. I mean, doing away with the endangerment finding, repealing the carbon rules, and all the other administrative policy. I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal what's going on. We think we have a true once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in our state of West Virginia and nationally. And we do mine a little bit of coal in the state of West Virginia. I'm going to concede the number one position in farming to my good friend Travis from Wyoming. They do load a little more coal than we do in West Virginia in totality. We've been mining about 85 million tons of coal. We're the leading underground coal producing state in the nation. We're the leading metallurgical coal producing state in the nation, and we're the leading coal export state. We account for over 40% of all the coal that leaves U.S. borders, and we send it all over Asia and all over Europe and South America. And that export product accounts for about 50% of our total output today. We also ship coal, either metallurgical coal or steam coal, to practically every state east of the Mississippi River. Some 39 power plants, and then all told, I think it's real close to 50 foreign destinations that we ship coal to. So being the leading metallurgical producing state, being the leading export state, we have probably more challenges than most. Then of course our thermal producers have those challenges that all thermal producers have had with coal-fired electric generators staying open and all. So I don't know if that answers a question, but all that. We were asked to give a little bit of a profile of our state as well. So just real. I can't think of a more honorable and better job than the one I have representing the great miners of the great state of West Virginia. We have the most qualified, the most competent miners you'll find anywhere. Most advanced, technologically advanced mining operations you'll find anywhere in the world. Thanks to everything President Trump and his energy team are doing today. Our miners, for the first time, and think about it, it's been 12 out of the last 16 years. It's been a career. These guys, their jobs have been threatened. They can go to bed last night, and know they have a job in the morning. and their wives know that they have a little bit of income and can put together a budget. And, you think through it, aside from just being great mining professionals. If there was any time left today, I'd let Travis talk about Wyoming, but since there's
That's
not,
good.
but not only are these great mining professionals, but they're ministers, they're school teachers, they're little league coaches, their wives are nurses, just great people and great part of America's industrial fabric.
What was the question again? Well, again, I'll echo what Chris said. Thank you, Emily, for the invitation. And I got to tell you, I got the email from Emily saying, you're ready for the panel and stuff. And I said, did I commit to that? And I did. And it was one of these things, the lesson that I should learn, but I haven't learned yet. Be careful what you commit to when you've had too many beers, because you don't always remember what you commit to. So I drove over here from Casper, Wyoming this morning. We're doing a great big uranium symposium over there. And in Wyoming, so I'm just not coal. We represent all of our coal companies, but we also represent all of our uranium companies. We have industrial minerals, trona, which is natural soda ash, and bentonite. We lead the nation in production of all of those. We also have two significant rare earths deposits that we're doing. And, from the big news earlier this summer, the little coal mine up in Sheridan, Wyoming, that is going to develop critical minerals. So we've got a lot going on. But talking about coal specifically, and I got a little quote here. Wyoming runs on extraction, and it's the reason why we're a state. One of the arguments that our delegate used back in the 19th century when arguing for statehood was our unsurpassed mineral resources. A little bit later, we had a Secretary of State in 1902. His name was Fenimore Chatterton. People should use the name Fenimore a little bit more. But he has a great quote, and it says, quote, "Coal, Wyoming has enough with which to run the forges of Vulcan, weld every tie that binds, drive every wheel, change the North Pole into a tropical region, or smelt hell." So we are the nation's leading coal producer, and we produce more than the next 5 of our friends combined. It's obviously it's the bedrock industry of Wyoming. It creates jobs, it generates revenue, upwards of $500 million a year. That's down significantly from about $1.2 billion back in the heady days of the early 21st century. This year we produced about a little bit more than 193 million tons of coal, down from 460 million tons back in 2009. The environment has certainly shifted. And going forward, I can't echo it enough. The breath of fresh air that President Trump has brought, and the swift action that he has brought, and the big beautiful bill was a big beautiful bill for Wyoming coal. Specifically the lowering of the federal royalty rate. We did some work at the state level as well. Governor Gordon helped on that to lower our severance tax burden on our coal industry. Because we want to keep the industry strong. And when you talk about the people that work in this industry, and one of the prompts of the questions was, something or an experience that you've had. It was several years ago when President Obama was doing his first damage with his initial moratorium on the leasing of federal coal, and his BLM was doing listening sessions across Wyoming, and they garnered a lot of attention. And of course, we go up, and they weren't listening at all, obviously, but a lot of people were going up there and speaking their minds. And afterwards, we're at the event center in Casper, and I'm walking out just drained. And there was a gal coming out, and her husband was a miner, her brother worked in the coal mines, her dad was a coal miner, and she was crying. And I said, are you okay? And she says, "I'm just so tired. I'm just so tired." And those are the type of people that you get up and go to work for every day. And it is so refreshing right now to be able to say, go out there and say, take a breath, because things are going to be okay. We've got a lot of challenges. There's no doubt we have a lot of challenges still, but it's going to be okay. And so, you talk about what drives me, what gets me up to go to work every morning. It was that young lady back there in Casper, Wyoming, in the parking lot after that ridiculous non-listening session.
Yep.
And I'm happy to banter a little bit further, but I'll let Brian go first.
Give Brian a turn.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate the invitation. Thank you to Emily for the amazing job that she does. So coal has been a part of Utah's economy from almost the very beginning of our state. So, the Mormon pioneers got here in 1847, and by 1854, the territorial legislature had actually put out an economic development incentive, I'll call it. It was actually a $1,000 cash prize for anybody that could find a coal source within 45 miles of Salt Lake City. Ultimately, nobody found that because our coal's a little further away from Salt Lake City, but we started mining coal, just a number of years after we became a territory. And it's really driven our economy here in the state for a very long time. We go for quality over quantity. We produce very, very high quality thermal coal, not quite to metallurgical grades, but some of the best coal you can have for thermal generation. And we're very fortunate that here in the state, a lot of that coal stays here to power our economy. We're still about 55% coal powered here in Utah, and then we export coal to other states and to other countries, especially to Japan. And we're very, very proud of that. I had the opportunity yesterday, actually, to take Senator John Curtis, who's our junior senator from Utah, into one of our coal mines, into the Sufco mines, which is run by Wolverine Fuels. We've got some very handsome gentlemen here from Wolverine Fuels. And also some senators some staffers from Senator Lee's office, Gene from Senate ENR that's here, and just had an amazing time. And watching a U.S. senator actually run the longwall machine underground was pretty cool. And just helping people understand how incredibly, complex and capital intensive and these operations are, and the contributions that they have to our rural economies, especially here in the state of Utah. We have a number of counties in central Utah, rural counties, that, coal mining is by far the largest employer, and the service companies and other providers, transportation companies that are associated with coal mining. And it really drives these economies. It allows them to have family and community sustaining wages. And one that I'm very proud about that we've worked on as a mining association is to make sure that we keep those primary customers, our thermal generators, protected here in Utah. And so we actually have 4 major coal-fired power plants here, and all of them have a very, very bright outlook right now, which we couldn't have said even 6 months ago, frankly. Our 2 major investor-owned power plants, their retirement dates have been pushed out indefinitely. We've got a rural co-op plant that's going to operate well into the 2040s. And then our largest coal plant, the Intermountain Power Plant, the state's actually going to be taking that over and either selling it to another utility or having a long-term operating contract. So we saved that plant from being torn down by California, which is where that power had been going, 1,900 megawatt plant. Incredibly proud of that. And so we're keeping our thermal generation resources safe so that our coal miners can continue to do what they do best. The other thing that was so gratifying about having Senator Curtis and the other staffers there was to see the pride that the miners and and the transportation companies, everybody, that even the county commissioners took in these operations. So again, it's something that people are incredibly proud of the work that they do. When I first got this job, I was put onto the board of this thing called the Coal Country Strike Team. And strike teams kill people, and this was one of these great things that was cooked up by our university here, one of our universities here, to help transition miners into the tech industry or whatever. And I said, first of all, people in the tech industry don't make any more money than people in the coal industry, so that's a thing. But also, these guys have these jobs because they want these jobs.
Yeah, that's right.
This is what they love to do, and they're really, really good at it. And also, find me some tech bro, that can actually come in and run a longwall machine, and then let's have a conversation. So I'm again very proud of the work that we do here in Utah. I'm very honored to have this job. I'm, very happy that I get to represent the coal industry. Also, we have hard rock and industrial minerals here. I'm like Travis, get to dabble in all kinds of different minerals. So, grateful for the opportunity I have to represent such an amazing industry and to come and talk to some true believers about it here too. Thank you.
Thanks, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to start off by saying that as Canadians, we like Americans. Not all Americans, but most Americans. So, you know, and the reason I say that is, as I said earlier, I have a fishing guide business up in Alberta, and probably 90% of my business is Americans, you know, and they all ask me the same question. Is it okay if we're here? And yeah, we want you here, you know, and I think the partnership that we've had over the years will withstand everything, I think, moving forward. I worked for the United Mine Workers of America for a long time. I was the international board member representing Canada. Worked with people like Cecil Roberts, who you probably know, worked with Sam Church. You know, a lot of pride when I worked for the union, a lot of pride in what I learned about the underground miners in West Virginia and Tennessee, Pennsylvania. You know, I spent a lot of time in those areas trying to keep mines open through, you know, as they used to say about the mine workers, we're tough enough to chew nails and stupid enough to want to. So we had a lot of work to do, and I spent a lot of time working with companies and the union trying to keep mines open, working towards good labor relations and making sure that we're all working in the same direction. And that was that the mines stayed open, because without the mines, a lot of people suffered. And in Canada right now, we're suffering. You know, I can't say or emphasize enough how important politics are and who you vote for. And not just for president or for prime minister, but at the state, provincial levels, and at the municipal levels. You have to have people that believe in your industry. Right. You have to have people that are going to go to fight for you. I learned that when I was in politics. You know, I found it interesting how ignorant people were of the industry. I don't mean ignorant rude. I'm talking about ignorant, not understanding. People do not understand the coal mining industry. You know, when you go to people and say, where do you get your electricity from? They point to the light switch on the wall. They haven't got a clue. And, you know, and right now in Canada, I say that we're sort of like crack addicts. We're not going to change our industry until we lose everything, until people lose their standard of living. They don't understand the importance of coal. They don't understand, you know, at one time, 6 provinces depended on coal for power. We're now down to one province. And that province is in jeopardy too, because if you don't know, in Canada, they said that they were going to get rid of all coal-fired generation by 2030. Well, Scott Moe, a conservative premier in Saskatchewan, said, no, we're going to continue to run our coal plants because we need the energy, not just for AI, but just so that people had a good style of living and had affordable power. So that's a fight that's going on right now. On the Met side, you know, we still do pretty good on the steelmaking side. We have Teck, which is owned by Glencore now, which is a Swiss company, you know, producing about 27 million tons a year. We have Canuma, which is American-owned, up in the northeastern part of BC, that's taking over mines that had failed and are making a go of that. But you know what? In Alberta, for example, where I live, we have some of the highest grade steelmaking coal in the world. And we can't get it out of the ground because our politicians don't understand what they're talking about. We had an energy minister come out and say, well, you can mine coal, but no more open pit mining along the eastern slopes. He has no understanding at all of geology. He doesn't understand how coal seams run. He thinks everybody can go underground. Well, it's just not going to happen. And so 80% of our reserves in Alberta are going to be sterilized because of his comments, even though he doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, First Nation issues, which you don't have down here, but we have in Canada. You know, the UNDRIP, the United Nations Declaration, is causing us nothing but grief. And it's not that the First Nations aren't good people. They are. But, you know, they don't understand. They're really having issues understanding what it means for regulations and policies. Environmental groups, Sierra Club, the Alberta Wilderness Association, Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society, Greenpeace. We have them coming everywhere. And every place we go, we're fighting all those groups. So it's an ongoing battle in Canada. You know, the president of Peabody said it best here a while ago. Why would you want to invest in a country where it's going to take you 17 years to get through the permitting process and actually get to construct your operation? You haven't made any money yet. Like in Alberta, for example, you know, we're going through this process for royalty regime. Right now, it's 1% when you start, and when you're up and running, it's as high as 13% royalties. The Alberta government, in their wisdom, want to go to 25% royalties, and they want to start at 3%. So they have no concept of you need people to come and invest. And who's going to invest their monies if you're looking at about 17 years and countless court cases and lawyers' fees before you get an ounce of coal out of the ground. So it's something that we continue to fight. People are strong. As our gentleman from West Virginia and Wyoming said, and from Utah, I mean, coal miners like to mine coal.
Yep.
They're not there because they have to be. They're there because they want to be. Now, I've never met a coal miner yet that didn't enjoy who he was and why he did what he did. Whether it was of course, we've always had the disagreements between underground and open pit. The underground guys say the open pit guys aren't real miners, but that discussion and argument will go on forever. But in Canada, one of the things that we suffer with is getting good underground miners. So even if we say we listen to the government, we decide to go underground, we don't have the competence to do that job. And we know that there's lots of experienced miners in the States. They're looking for work, but we can't get them across the border. We can get people from Ukraine and Italy and Belgium and Germany easier and quicker than we can get people from the United States. So when we look at the immigration laws and our green cards and that's trying to get miners up into Canada, it's a struggle and it has to change. But again, politics. It's all about politics.
So
no matter how good miners you are, it's about who you put in office and who's going to support the industry.
About 30 minutes ago, you mentioned the steelmaking industry, export industry for Canada. I wanted to ask you, you guys are navigating these federal policies, emissions policies, and global ESG pressures. How are Canadian producers navigating that and maintaining competitiveness in steelmaking coal exports?
Well, it's just lobbying, a lot of lobbying, getting communities behind us. Most of our coal goes out of the West Coast. The federal government wants to basically shut down the whole West Coast, all kinds of shipping, not just coal, but everything.
Okay.
And so we continue to, as the lady said this morning, we follow the rules. We make sure we follow the rules. We make sure we do a good job of it, and we make it very difficult for people to say that we aren't doing a good job moving forward.
Brian, I have a question for you. Utah's coal producers are facing geographic and logistical challenges. What are strategies helping Utah coal remain viable in Western and international markets?
So one of the things, again, is, we've had a heavy emphasis on making sure that primary customer, the thermal generation customers are protected, that we keep our plants operating, also that we don't give into pressures from other states that may have different ideas about energy generation. I mean, that's one of the challenges we have. We're in our major investor-owned utility, we're in a 6-state service area, and we've got, great states like Wyoming and Idaho, some not so great states on the coast that have much different ideas about how they want their power to be delivered. And Utah's had to make sure that we're protecting our state energy policy and that we, have that independence. One of the challenges we're having right now with our exports is port access. So, we're having the same issues here that, were described in Canada, where we have coastal states that, are using their zoning authority or, authorities under the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, to really shut down bulk commodity exports. And we're actually losing one of the ports that we've been using in California for a long time after 2026 due to a legal settlement. And we're desperately trying to find new ports to take that capacity. And luckily, again, we have a president now and a federal administration that wants to help us with this. And we've also here in Utah, we've tried to plan for this by setting money aside to help, either construct a port project or do internal improvements or by, prepay for throughput, so that we'd be in a position to make sure that we can continue our export program, because again, that's revenue our coal producers can't afford to lose. we are dealing with some of those challenges that are facing other parts of the industry, but the particular challenges we have here in Utah, I also feel like we're trying to be very self-sufficient and making sure our legislature, and us doing a lot legislature understand what the issues are and that we protect ourselves as much as possible. And then when we get into a situation where we do have a friendly administration and, friendly houses of Congress as well, that we can take advantage of that and really, get some of these things going while we still have those opportunities.
Travis, Wyoming leads in low sulfur coal production and carbon capture research. How is the state positioning itself as a hub for next generation coal technologies?
Well, that's a great question. We've been at the state of Wyoming and through the University of Wyoming, through our integrated testing center up in Gillette, and other efforts to try to crack the carbon capture nut for a long time. And I think that work is going to continue. I think what we're running into right now, and you look at kind of where we're at, this under the umbrella of projected future energy demand. With the Department of Energy came out with their study last month, projections of energy demand going anywhere from 35% to 50% by 2050. 2050 is not that far away. That's only 15 years away. That's a lot of power this country's got to produce. And so, when you talk about coal, first start up with you got to keep your existing fleet open. And, I think, and we've worked very hard on that. I'd give a shout out to Randy Eminger at Energy Policy Network, who's done a great job keeping our customer plants from early retirement. But the second part of that is, elections have consequences. And, I'm in this business for 25 years, and I think I've seen at least 2, maybe 3 permanent majorities in the Congress. And we all know that stuff can flip on a dime. So we've got the headwinds behind us right now, but we've got to continue to keep what we call hardening our market. And that's where that, continuing to work and develop the carbon capture technology that we can, make it commercially viable so that we can, not only keep our existing plants running and meet, emissions goals, but build that next generation of plants so that we can continue to use our coal resource. And I think one of the things that, who you elect matters.
Yeah.
And in Wyoming right now, carbon capture, that's the Green New Deal. Well, bullshit. If you want to keep using coal in the future, you've got to protect your market, and you've got to do the things that you need to do so that we can keep using coal into the future. And so, we're continuing to work on it, and we are a leader in it. But the petty little politics, with the lunacy in our state legislature right now, it's challenging. It's stuff that you shouldn't be fighting on. It's stuff that you should be all together on. And I don't know if that answered the question.
Yes, thank you. And Christian won the bet, but the first curse word was going to come out of Deti. So good job, Christian. You mentioned technology in your opening remarks, and we've heard a little bit about technology here. Many of us think about West Virginia. We think about the heritage of coal mining, but also,
Be careful.
but now also innovation, right? And so
Right.
that's what I'm interested in hearing about from you, especially as metallurgical coal gains attention in global markets. So
There's so much. I mean, you can't force. All know. I think you cannot force technological change.
Yep.
Or you just can't force the things that the last administration wanted to wanted to coerce everybody into adapting or putting on the smokestack or the coal-fired. I look at all the change we've experienced in our lifetimes. I mean, I think we can all talk about the pollution that was occurring naturally. I don't think intentionally, but I think naturally, 25, 30, 35, 40 years ago. I tell the story that when I was in grade school, they'd let us out when it would snow. A lot of people were let out. But why we were let out early was to be able to play in white snow, because it absolutely turned either red dog red. So we were literally let out school early to play in white snow. Our industry, our industrial environmental practices, that's a continuum. That's a constant. We've made all the changes and advancements science, technological change.
Yeah.
I mean, they've transformed our lifestyles, everything we do, this quality of life we all enjoy here as Americans. It's all been, because of the emphasis on science, technology, and throw math in there. It's gonna always be improving. We said that about carbon sequestration. It's not ready for prime time.
Yeah.
It's not commercially available today.
Yeah.
And besides that, I do believe in the conspiracy theories. I think the past administration knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they come out and they doubled down, shut down coal plants, and that was their goal. So they knew what they were doing when they promulgated the carbon rule. They knew that we weren't ready for putting CSS systems on every coal plant. But that technology and other technologies, maybe something put in the pre-combustion chambers that are showing promise, and who knows, 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, we hear nuclear making this comeback, with the modular nuclear plants, and I don't think there's any question about that. We will see a resurgence, reactivation of, our nuclear fleet within the country, but when's that going to happen?
Yeah.
It's at least a decade away. Again, maybe 15, 20 years.
We only have about 5 minutes left. In addition to letting you guys give a closing remark on, give me your next 2 years vision for the industry. And I say that just based on what's remaining of this administration. But also, can you please hit on workforce development in your state? To tell us about some exciting programs and also your needs. What are the biggest needs that you have in your states and province for workforce, and where you guys are working on meeting those needs?
Well, I'll take the first crack at that. We've got to keep our foot on the gas. We've got a lot of momentum going right now. We've got to keep our foot on the gas because who knows where we're going to be in the next election cycle. Like I said earlier, these things can change. It can change at the drop of a hat, and we could be right back where we were a year ago. A year ago, I was speaking down in Colorado at our friend Judy Colgan's Rocky Mountain Mining Institute meeting, and that things were looking kind of desperate back then. I said, you got to keep fighting. You got to fight like you're the third monkey on the ramp to Noah's Ark, and it's beginning to rain. And I think we've got to keep up the fight. We got to keep the pedal to the metal, and get some stuff done while make hay while the sun is shining. And you have a great the workforce question is a great one. And if I knew the answer to that, we've got a worker shortage in Wyoming, and there's a lot to that. I mean, it's Wyoming. We have housing issues, but I see seriously, after COVID changed a lot of things, and where did the workers go?
Right.
I'm sure my colleagues here, they're a lot smarter than I am. They can figure out the workforce issue for me. I'd be happy to listen to them. But some of the things that we do, my association in Wyoming, we work very closely with the University of Wyoming and community colleges, and it's tough to get into the secondary level, but career and technical training, we've got to really focus on telling these kids that not everyone's cut out for college. I'm a prime example of that. But, you've got to say, you can make a very good living and have a good, high-paying, stable job in the state of Wyoming by learning a trade. And so we work very hard with our partners in that space to, try to develop that next generation of workforce in Wyoming so that our kids don't have to leave the state, because we're going to have the jobs. And, we just need to find the people to fill them.
I would say on the workforce front, one of the challenges we've had here in Utah is our College of Mines at the University of Utah has just been diminished over the last number of years. Just not a lot of support from the administration, and they sort of they say it's still an independent college, but it's sort of been subsumed by a different college, which doesn't make any sense. And we've pushed really hard with our legislature and with the college itself to make sure that they have the resources to go out and recruit new students, that they've got the right professors there, the right instructors that can train that, next level of, mining engineers and metallurgical engineers and everyone else. And then obviously also working with our technical colleges, a major university in the state, Utah State University has campuses all over the state, and trying to set them up with, opportunities to work directly with industry to train workers, get people, trained in the skilled trades. But we struggle as well. I mean, especially again in the rural parts of our state. And I think that, part of it is changing the message that, first of all, these industries aren't going away. And when I have, local county commissioners and others that start to talk negatively about the coal industry, or the mining industry in general, I have to get on their case and say, look, these are the industries that have carried your communities for years, and they're going to continue to carry your communities. And you need to let those kids that are graduating know that if they want the best job they're going to get in this community and stay home and not have to go to Salt Lake or not have to go to Nevada or somewhere else, then they need to think about working in the mining industry. And so that's something I think that those of us that are, running associations have to be very cognizant that we can have those hard discussions with our policymakers and our elected officials to make sure that they're using their bully pulpits to put out the right kind of messages that, that we have to have for those kids that are, coming up. And again, whether they want to come right out of high school and go into a mine and get, some on the job training, or whether they want to go and become a PhD chemist, great. We'll take them in the mining industry because we need all these people. So I think that that's really, really important. I think in terms of the next few years, I agree. We've got to take advantage of the situation that we have now and try and make as much, as many of the reforms that we're seeing with the Trump administration and Congress permanent, so that they can't be undone by the next president. I think that.
I think President Vance will do that.
What was that?
I don't think President Vance.
Well, hopefully, yeah, President Vance wouldn't do that. But, if we don't have a President Vance and we have a President Newsom, like that could be a real problem for us, right?
Agreed.
Or a President AOC. Yeah, might happen, guys. So I think that that's really important that, again, we take advantage of this opportunity that we have right now. And also, I think, too, from, a messaging perspective, I'm really gratified that, a lot of the talk about energy transition has gone away.
Yeah.
And I want that to go away forever, because
Amen.
It's not about energy transition.
That's
This
right.
is about energy addition, right?
That's
And I
right.
love the nuclear stuff. I represent those guys. I love the geothermal. I represent those guys. I love it all. However, we're not going to get rid of coal plants because we need all of those electrons. We have so much demand. And also, I think, too, something that our legislature, again, has been working on really hard is by utilizing our coal plants better. Because, in most cases, we've got our coal plants running at, 40, 50% capacity at best. And we're leaving so many electrons on the table that could be used. And some of that is, again, federal issues, because you've got all the renewable subsidies and other things that are diminishing the use of those plants. But some of that is just, we need to figure out how to get those customers that can go and sit next door and that need that power, to run their data center, to run their advanced manufacturing operation, and better utilize those plants. So those are things that we're going to be working on over the next number of years. And also, again, just getting the pride back in the communities. That's something that I think, Frank.
Shifting, don't you?
Yeah,
The pride is coming
agree.
back.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we need to, again, keep on that and make sure that, those kids that are growing up in these, coal communities, they want to stay in those coal communities and work in the coal industry.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be real short. I think it starts with education, and it starts with the public school system. When you have teachers telling kids that your parents are killing them or killing the community, you have an issue. There's nothing to be embarrassed about having a trade, whether you're a heavy-duty mechanic or electrician or a welder. Those are honorable trades, and they're good-paying trades. So we have to get started at the public school system. We have to have teachers talking about what's important in their communities, not their agenda, but the agenda for the community. And as an industry, we have to quit working in a vacuum. We can't be fighting with the forest industry. We can't be fighting with the oil and gas industry. We need to have a concentrated front so that all industry is important and all industry moves forward. And if we can do that, and if we can change the public school system and get teachers teaching the curriculum rather than their own woke agendas, we might get somewhere. But right now, And as far as energy transition, it's not going away. You look at some of the most industrialized countries in the world, Germany, England, France, Spain, they're still talking energy transition. They're still spending all kinds of money on solar and wind and anything else they think other than using natural resource development. And in Canada, we're going through this energy transition. We have a minister who's the lieutenant for Quebec. He used to be our environment minister. He was a Greenpeacer. Thibault, who wants to shut down coal. He wants to shut down all natural resource development in the country. And right now, we don't know where our prime minister stands on all of this. He's surrounded with the same group of people that were there for the last 10 years. So we still have a lot of fight left ahead of us if we're going to change attitudes. But personally, I think it starts at the school system. We got to get out and we got to talk to teachers. We got to talk to community leaders, and we got to talk to our kids. We got to tell them why it's important that, we're mining coal. They need to understand that. And they need to go to school being proud, not being browbeat by a teacher because their dad or their mom works in the coal industry. We got to change that.
Thank you.
I think that, if anything, again, I mean, we're, producing the best thermal coal, but, if anything, if people can take anything away from what Utah's doing is it's really, you've got to stay on your legislature to make sure that you're protecting your resources because there are so many outside pressures. There's so many outside groups. I mean, I've seen groups that have come in here and they'll call themselves whatever. They're,
Right.
Citizens for Responsible this, and they're, conservatives for responsible that. And, they're all funded by, organizations, and they want to shut down everything in the state, that's not renewables.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of problems like that. And even making sure that you continue the inertia so that, when you start having to fight like we had with our Intermountain Power Plant, I mean, this has been a 6-year fight. And, in the last session, when we really put the bills in place, that saved that plan. I mean, there were literally 14 lobbyists that were working against the legislators that were working on this bill. There was me on the other side and one other guy that presenting a local client, and that was it. It was 14-2. And, these are hard fights. And even now that we've got supportive administration, I mean, none of these guys
Right.
have gone away. They're all still there. And so I think that, figuring out ways to protect the resources, of your power plants, making sure that you're holding your investor-owned utilities to account. I mean, these guys have government-supported monopolies, and that means that A, the government has leverage over them, but B, that they have responsibilities to the citizens of these states that they've been making money off of for generations to keep these assets, viable. And so, yeah, I think especially on the power plant fight, and also another thing we've tried to do is what we call producer protection. It's no good to save a coal-fired power plant if you don't have any coal mines to supply it.
Yeah.
And so fighting for things like rational supplier contracts, again, for workforce, making sure that, all the taxing regimes and everything else. I mean, anything that our coal miners need to continue to do what they do best is really important. So you've got to make sure you're focusing on those producers as well, because again, it's great to save a coal plant, but not if you have to import your coal from Colorado.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys. Thank you to each of the panelists. I appreciate you very much for your time. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to approach these gentlemen at the reception this afternoon. Emily, do you have anything else? Okay, with that, we'll see you at the reception at 4:30. Thank you.